You can wiggle your fingers really, really fast, can't you? You do have the muscles to move your fingers. It's just a matter of practicing for control. In my last video, I talked about the big picture, its overall structure, how to learn the actual notes, and how to put the two hands together in polyrhythm. This is sort of the part 2 of Fantaisie-Impromptu, and this time I want to talk about speed, how to get it up to your desired tempo. There are many reasons why a student might struggle with tempo, and you might be thinking, well, don't I just have to practice it over and over again until I get comfortable with it? Or you might be thinking, I just don't have the technique yet. I just have to build my technique. We need to be a lot more specific than that to improve anything. Why you can't get it up to a certain tempo could come from physical, of course. You just don't have the agility of the fingers or the finger muscle or independence. But also it could come from the connection between what goes on here in your brains and what goes on here at your fingertips, the connection between your mind and your body. But it could also come from musical reasons. And I would love to unpack all of that in a separate video. But in this video, I want to talk about the A section of Fantaisie-Impromptu, the fast section, how you can play with more control, how to lose tension, and how to think about it musically. And that last part is very important because what comes out here is directly dependent on what goes on here, how you hear it in your head. You can only play as well, as fast, or as smoothly, as beautifully as you can imagine it in your head. So this is going to be a very detailed guide on small parts of the piece. So I hope that you will take some of these suggestions and ideas to your own practice room and practice it until it becomes yours. So without further ado, let's jump into Fantaisie-Impromptu. Let's take a look at the first 4 bars of the music. I'm going to think of this as 1 + 1 + 2 phrase structure. So 1 bar plus 1 bar plus 2 bars make up a phrase. And Chopin gave us these arcs over bars, right, as a guidance for us to think of it as a unit. So that's repeated. And then it's 2 bars. So I'm thinking of those notes as a group. That makes a group. That's a group. I know you're learning to play these notes fast, but this step of hearing the notes and in groups and in phrases is crucial because you want the momentum, you want the direction of these passage works. Without it, you'll just sound like a bunch of notes without making any sense. If you're not convinced, let me try to make an analogy to spoken words. Let's say I have the sentence, when it's time for a journey to learn and grow, the road will guide your footsteps wherever you go. So I have the sentence memorized from like a children's book called Wherever You Go. And when I'm trying to articulate that sentence so that you can understand it, I'm not thinking about each word. Even though I have each word memorized, I'm not really pulling that information word by word. I'm pulling that information first as an idea of the sentence, and then each phrase of the sentence kind of rolls off my tongue because I have the meaning understood. When it's time for a journey, that's one. To learn and grow, that's another. And then the road will guide your footsteps wherever you go. I'm not thinking about each word, and neither will you if you're an English speaker. So my point is this. If music is anything like language, how you understand this music in terms of phrases, of meaningful units, of groups of notes, will impact how fluent you are in the execution of any passage work. In regards to physical tension, I need to talk about movement of the arm. In terms of the side-to-side movement of the arm, we are limited by the notes that we have to play on the page. But we can, however, move up and down. You might ask, why do we have to move at all? Can't we just keep it still? And my quick answer is that have you tried playing it that way? Have you tried to play it absolutely still? It takes a lot of effort to hold one position and it causes tension. And our fingers are not the same length. We have thumb that's short and the pinky that's short, and fourth finger is weaker than everybody else. And also we're playing on the white keys, but we are also playing on these black keys, which are slightly raised, and we want to go freely between these two different heights of keys. It's important that you understand from the specific passage work how to move in and out, but also up and down. Without this movement, these poor little fingers will have a hard time playing the notes, and it will necessarily hold you back and cause tension. As I hope you noticed, at the end of the arcs, I am coming up. It's always 99% of the time, you're gonna come up. Promise me that you will never play like this. That's like me falling or collapsing on my behind. Or it's like a non-native speaker trying to say that sentence and placing accents in all the wrong places, and these accents will hold you back and you will not be able to say the sentence as fast or as smoothly. And using weight to play the piano is like one of the hardest things for students to get used to. Because you are so used to using your big muscles in daily life, you try to control your fingers using the forearm muscles, and this causes tension. So what if instead of asking you to loosen your tension here, what if I said, imagine you have mini sandbags attached to at the end of your fingertips. Let's also imagine that each finger is intelligent, so it finds the next note as soon as it's free to do so. When you're ready to play it, you hear the note first, and the weight, the gravity, pulls each finger down. Keep imagining that you have sandbags at the end of your fingertips. This usually helps you with relieving the tension in the forearms. So whenever possible, use your understanding of strong and weak pulses and these arcs and phrase markings that Chopin gives us to know when to use your weight and when to lighten up. This is crucial in executing a fluid passage. Okay, let's now think about control. So this is what you should do to improve control of your fingers. Pick a tempo that you can play, and this is a tempo that's painfully slow. Painfully slow. It's really, really hard to do, but however, this is not boring because your mind has to be alert at all times. Sometimes I use my other hand to tap the beats, so I'm going to do 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2 taps per note. So what you're practicing is the timing. At the precise time that you want to play, are you playing the notes? So you first command it, hear it in your head, prepare the finger, and then play it. So let's simplify that. Let's hear it, prepare it, and then play it. Hear it, prepare, play. And as I'm doing this, it's kind of painful. I feel uncomfortable, it's awkward, and especially my fourth finger, which shares the neural pathway with the fifth finger, it does not want to move exactly at the time that I want it to move. This kind of exercise where you're playing at a very, very slow tempo, where you're working on the connection between your brains and the nerves at the fingertips, is tremendously beneficial to improve control. The next two bars, we are moving from this A to this B. As I said last time, the best place for your arm is to be in alignment with the finger that's playing. So down here, my thumb is playing, so my arm is in alignment with my thumb. When my pinky is playing, I try to have my arm in alignment with my pinky. So here is in one alignment, and again here by opening my arm, I am in alignment with my pinky. And the next thing, using the same practicing technique, and you try to hear it, prepare it, and play it at exactly the same tempo for each finger. And as you are doing this, you're listening for the sound and the evenness. You're also checking in with any tightening that you might build up in your forearm. So you must let everything go over here, and then you try to do that just with your fingers. And if you have a hard time kind of beating with your other finger, then you can put the metronome on, or you can tap on your knee, whatever works for you. The most important thing is for you to do it at a pretty uncomfortable tempo and to do it without getting faster and faster. That's how you learn to control your fingers. Let me show you another kind of exercise, and this is another kind of control exercise that people often mistake for just like pure muscle exercise or something. And it's dotted rhythm exercise you hear often. And if you've been playing piano for a while, you've heard this or you've done this exercise before, and most of the time students do it like this. So this is so easy to do if you do it fast like that. But what really helps is to make the long note long and make the short notes really short. Prepare it. Prepare it. This will actually improve your speed, not. And you can do it the other way. So in this case, I'm hearing 2 notes at a time. Hear it, prepare it, and then play it. And again, everybody tends to go faster and faster, and your job over here is to control it at a constant tempo. So let me try to summarize what I talked about in this video. We're working on speed, and in order for anybody to play something fast, you need better control of fingers and better control of your arm weight and release of arm weight. The first thing, control. We talked about practicing the passage in a very, very slow tempo, and you try to control the timing. We talked about hearing it, preparing it, and then playing it. You don't play it and then you hear it. You hear it first and then you play it. Like an orchestra conductor that's slightly ahead of the entire orchestra that he's directing, your mind is the conductor. You hear it and then command your fingers to play it. And I showed you how to practice that to improve the connection between your mind and your body. The second thing, where to use your arm weight and where to release the arm weight, that comes from your understanding of the phrases and how the notes are grouped. And some of that is interpretation, and some of that you have that from Chopin himself, who wrote these phrase markings and arcs over groups of notes to guide you. We worked primarily on the right hand today. When you have made some progress, it doesn't have to be a huge jump in the tempo. When you're feeling just a little bit more comfortable with the passage works, go back to the first video and try to put the two hands together in the new tempo. Inch by inch, gradually, you'll find yourself playing a little bit more fluidly than you did the previous week. As always, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next episode.